Taiwan is considering a U-turn on nuclear power. Those running to be the next president have pledged to ditch a deal to phase out nuclear plants and perhaps even build more. But as Asia correspondent Brent O'Halloran reports, it comes as fears mount that China could cast Taiwan into darkness.
Fighting for power in Taiwan's parliament. Nuclear-related measures have triggered fights between lawmakers, hunger strikes and mass protests over the years. That was 10 years ago. It was thought the issue was put to bed, but it's now unclear whether Taiwan will ditch nuclear power. The current president pledged to phase out by 2025, though several of those looking to replace her want to keep the plants alive.
Nuclear power is definitely one of my options, because we need to take a pragmatic approach to our energy policies.
The ruling party's candidate, Lai Ching-te, said he'd use nuclear plants as a backup. And former candidate and billionaire tech mogul Terry Gou has suggested Taiwan create new, smaller reactors.
They simply need to find the political courage that enable them to do something that can also be a little bit scary, which is to stand up for nuclear power.
Just one of Taiwan's 4 nuclear sites is operational. Nuclear currently accounts for less than 10% of the territory's energy mix. The Chinese threat makes Taiwan's power supply precarious. Beijing could easily blockade the coal and gas ships which bring in around 90% of Taiwan's energy resources. Taiwan's LNG reserves would run out in less than a fortnight. While Taiwan's crucial and expanding semiconductor industry is driving increasing energy demand, making it tougher to meet the government's goal of net zero emissions by 2050.
To reach our decarbonization goal and to ensure some measure of energy security, nuclear power is looking increasingly indispensable as a part of the solution.
Fears of earthquakes, as well as possible Chinese attacks or sabotage, linger. The Fukushima disaster a decade ago is still fresh in the minds of many Taiwanese, and Taiwan's mothballed plants are considered old and small.
The biggest problem is that the wet storage pools in our current nuclear power plants are basically full, and the dry storage tanks have not received an operation permit yet. So one must find a solution for where to store the spent fuel rods.
Green groups say the risks around nuclear aren't worth taking and that renewable projects like offshore wind are a better investment. The public appears split on atomic power after holding 2 referendums in 3 years. In 2018, the majority backed its continued use, but in 2021, voters rejected the idea of activating a 4th nuclear site. January's presidential election serves as an unofficial 3rd nuclear poll, but making changes to Taiwan's power mix may spark more ruckus. Brent O'Halloran, Sky News in Taipei.